Good morning, everyone. I'm Coach Sean Jordan, and I'm joined by Senior Veteran Coach Darrell McDonald. A little bit about myself. I'm an Army Engineer Officer. I've been in since 2011, and I'm still currently serving the Army Reserve.
Heyo, my name is Darrell. I'm a former rater. I worked for the Department of Veterans Affairs, and I was a rating specialist for 6.5 years. I was also a certified instructor during that time period. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and if you want to drop a quick note in the chat and let us know what branch of service you were in, what years you served, and where you currently reside, that'd be awesome. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I served during the first Gulf War, and I'm currently living in central Iowa. How about you, Sean?
I'm up in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Sky-ma.
Skull. Sorry, man. I'm a Raiders fan.
Hey, you pick a good team to root for.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about the registry for burn pits. What do you know about the Burn Pit Registry, Sean?
Yeah, so it's a list for service members who were deployed to Southwest Asia between 1990 and all the way to present, with an effective date. Anyone who served in Afghanistan and Djibouti after September 11th, 2001 can register for the Burn Pit Registry.
Right. So it's pretty much if you served in Operations Desert Storm, Desert Shield, Operation New Dawn, Iraqi Freedom, or Enduring Freedom, then you're pretty much able to get on there. But how do you get your name on that Gulf War registry?
Yes, so it involves a questionnaire. So it's a questionnaire about your health and your deployment history is step one. And once you register to be part of the Burn Pit Registry, then you undergo a health examination, which will be performed by the Department of Veteran Affairs.
Awesome. So where do I go to get on this registry? Do you know? Did they reach out to me because I had that service, or do I need to go somewhere to get on that?
It's veteranmobilehealth.va.gov/Alpha Hotel Burn Pit Registry.
So I know that when you go to that website, because I've actually got that website pulled up right now on my other screen. When you go to that website, it'll ask you they encourage you to join, even if you don't think you were exposed to specific airborne hazards, you're not experiencing current symptoms, illnesses, you think are related to your exposure, even if you haven't filed a claim for compensation, they're still encouraging you to go. Can you have any speculation on why they're having you go to that and register?
Well, ultimately, it's to service connect your conditions. They want to evaluate you to understand what might be going on from a medical perspective, so they can provide treatment. And then for veterans looking to make claims, it gives you the ability to then pursue the service connection for the medical condition that you currently have due to your burn pit exposure.
Right. And like you and I discussed before, right now, currently, there are no presumptive conditions for burn pit exposure. However, this thing kind of works like the Agent Orange registry that used to be in effect. And when veterans go in there and they get so many people that are suffering from the same conditions that were in the same area, then they have a third-party medical company kind of look at the situation and could potentially service connect for some of those conditions. Like right now, currently, the VA they're doing a real big study on burn pit and on the burn pit and the effects of the burn pit. And they're looking at some conditions, like we talked about earlier with bronchitis, sinusitis, mostly respiratory conditions that are based off of that registry. So have you filled out the registry yourself yet?
I have, yes. It's quite intensive. It takes generally about an hour to fill out. But it's very thorough. It goes into your deployment history, and then it also talks about, more importantly, for most veterans, their medical history, and really what that gets into. It gets into that base Kaluza triangle. So those of you that are looking to file, and that's your ultimate intent, it allows you to get that first step, which is the active diagnosis. So you can get seen for your condition, you can be evaluated. And then once you have that, you can pursue the service connection, getting an established nexus to your military service, and ultimately getting rated for it.
Right on. So one of the big things I would encourage veterans to do with this is definitely get involved, get your name on that registry. If you feel like you have a condition that is potentially one of those conditions that could be service connected due to burn pit, like a respiratory condition, sinusitis, bronchitis, rhinitis, that kind of situation, I would definitely encourage you to file for that condition, because just like, and this is it's a huge learning experience for the VA, kind of not unlike the Agent Orange was during the Vietnam era. Um, People would file for a condition. The main one for them would be diabetes mellitus. So they would file for that condition. And at the time, the VA wouldn't recognize that condition as a presumptive condition of that particular service. But later years, they decided, yeah, that was a presumptive condition, or we did make that a presumptive condition. And they did what's called a NEMR project, where they went back and anybody that filed for that condition was actually, and had that condition at that time, was actually service connected for that condition and back paid all the way back to when they initially filed. So I can see kind of the same thing happening with the Burn Pit Registry. And since the VA is actively investigating those conditions, I would encourage people to go ahead and submit a request or submit a 526EZ for those conditions, because they could potentially be paid way back to when they first filed the claim.
Absolutely. And the first step is just getting your name on the list, so the VA can evaluate you, and they can acknowledge that you served during that time and you were exposed to burn pits during your service.
Absolutely. So when you did that registry, did you have your health evaluation?
I did not know. I just filled out the examination form.
Just filled out the examination form. So do you know if they reach out to you to do a health evaluation, or is it just all based on your history that you report?
At this point, with where I'm at in the process, I just simply filled it out. So I just put in what was going on, my experience thus far, and based on what I know of the process, they will reach out and schedule an examination at your local VA clinic. I just personally haven't gotten to that point yet.
Right. And it is completely voluntary. That examination is completely voluntary. So if you're not comfortable with it, you don't have to go for that examination. But just know that going for that, especially if you're suffering from one of those conditions, going for that evaluation is very vital for them to get that baseline or that information and compile it with everything else. The more veterans that were served during that time period, they get involved with that registry, the better the chances are for getting that as a presumptive condition, those burn pit residuals.
Absolutely, and I loved your dialogue earlier when we were talking about how the conditions themselves, with the burn pit exposure, it's not direct presumptives. However, the conditions by themselves fall under, as long as you deployed during the area, they're presumptive conditions based on the deployment to Southwest Asia, Afghanistan, Iraq, wherever you were. And so I think this helps build your case file to establish that nexus. This would be a step in addition to help support your claim.
Absolutely. But now don't get confused, because Afghanistan is totally different presumptives than Southwest Asia. So, that Southwest Asia, like those ones I mentioned before, Iraqi freedom, enduring freedom, that's all Southwest Asia. And Afghanistan has something completely different than that. More, you're talking more of the presumptive conditions for Southwest Asia, like chronic fatigue syndrome or
Fibromyalgia.
fibromyalgia. Yeah, those. And the other ones for Afghanistan are more like beriberi. And there's some different cancers and stuff that are involved with Afghanistan. So, yeah, absolutely, man. So I would say that if you served during that time period, no matter what branch you were in, you have that Southwest Asia service, you have that Iraqi Freedom Medal or the GWAT Medal, and you actually served in country, I would, by all means, I would encourage everybody to get their name on that registry.
Most definitely. If you served, you deserve, and this is the ability for you to fundamentally attach your name to being exposed to those conditions during your service. So the Department of Veteran Affairs can recognize what happened to you during your career.
So, and I do have to come back a little bit because I did say, we were talking about the presumptive conditions for Afghanistan and as opposed to Iraq, but with the burn pits, even if you served in Afghanistan, after September 11th, 2001, like you said at the beginning, absolutely, you still qualify to get your name on that registry. So by all means, even if you just, I know a lot of people deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. So even if you just deployed to Afghanistan, get your name on that registry. I'm looking, like I said, I was looking at the website. It says participation in the registry cannot negatively impact your VA claim or ability to get health care from the VA. So to me, it's a win-win. Get on that registry, get your name out there, file for one of those conditions that could potentially be related to burn pits. And, it's, as always with the VA, it's a waiting game from that point on.
Most definitely. And for all of these out there, thank you. Thank you for your service. We appreciate what you do. We'll definitely post the link here in the chat. So anyone who might be thinking about filing for the Burn Pit Code, you have a quick link to click on and register for your Burn Pit exposure.
Yeah, and if you're already with VACI, by all means, talk to your coach about it. If you're not registered for VACI, you can see a county VSO or a regular VSO, or you can come over and become a member of VACI also, and we'll drop the link for that in the chat as well. All right. Got anything else, Sean?
No, thank you, Darrell.
All right, that's it. We'll catch you all down the road.
Good luck with your claim.